Announcing The Authority as one of the first movies coming out in DC was too ambitious. Hi, I'm Jordan the Nerd of Gold, and while I look back at that original announcement where James said we were going to get an Authority film as one of the first few films coming out of the DC studios, I was very excited by that because I really love the original first year of Warren Ellis and Bryan Hitch working on The Authority. It was a great book, and it is an excellent team, and I really do want to see that movie come to life. And I'll be honest, I am to this day still disappointed that James and Peter have not figured out the right screenwriter and director pair to bring that project to life, and it has seemingly been pushed to the back burner and possibly even been canceled at this point, which again is disappointing to me personally because I like that team and that book so much. But thinking about it, it's too ambitious to have started with The Authority rather than starting with like the Wildcats or Stormwatch, some version of that within the DC universe, because the Wildstorm universe as a thing really works better when it is kind of off into the shadows, working in a conspiratorial tone and working with shady government elements, and just generally not being the bright public superheroes that Superman is in the rest of the Justice League. But The Authority is when that finally bursts out from all the backdoor fights and conspiracies between different countries, and The Authority is like, no, we're tired of this. We're tired of all the corruption that we have had to deal with and work for. We are going to take the world in a new direction. And that is what made The Authority feel so cool at the time when it was released, because in the early 2000s it's not like we hadn't had proactive superhero stories. We've definitely had that before The Authority, but The Authority was a buildup of years of like spies trying to be spies against each other, and then we finally have these public superheroes, different from Stormwatch, who are just like, no, the status quo is no longer working. And Bryan Hitch and Warren Ellis made it look so cool when they were doing it, and that's why The Authority has the legacy that they have, because they had two excellent storytellers working with a cool premise and hitting at the right moment in comic book history. But remember, like, Wildcats and Stormwatch laid the groundwork for that to happen, and I think James probably should have started smaller with one of those titles or any one of the characters. I mean, can you imagine a grifter movie? I've pitched that before. It should be like John Wick meets They Live, and I think that would be an incredibly fun film. But either way, I think The Authority, as this big team, this world-changing team that changes literally the status quo of governments and everything, should have been a film coming down later and shouldn't have been announced at first. Even though we kind of got the hints of this toward the end of the Superman movie with now the metahumans rule global politics. That's kind of The Authority right there. But The Authority is a much more proactive team. They are much more violent. They are much more direct than what Superman would ever allow on that front if he were a team. And I always suspected when it was first announced that we were going to get some kind of Justice League versus The Authority film, which I still hope we eventually get, because man, that would be so much fun. Seeing Superman and Apollo go at it, Batman and Midnighter, oh, that would be so much fun. I would love to see that film. But again, starting with The Authority was maybe too ambitious of a starting point for introducing so many of these Wildstorm characters, when a lot of them do work in this kind of super spy kind of tone. And there are a few of them public, like Stormwatch is the UN team that goes out and does it, but it's not like they're always superheroes. They prefer to be considered government agents on that front, or at least not all of them. Some of them are okay with being superheroes. But yeah, it is, looking back at it now, odd to think that we were going to start with The Authority. But let me know, do you think James was being a little too ambitious with the Wildstorm characters by announcing The Authority first? Or do you think that he just hasn't found the right writers and it was the right call to make?